Hello and welcome to the Mill Creek View CEO Special with me, your host, Steve Abramowitz, where I interview the best business people and entrepreneurs. Hello and welcome back to the Mill Creek View CEO Special with your host, Steve Abramowitz. We are focused on the best businesses doing good business in America. Today we are in studio with Harvey Durham. But first, for more information about the CEO Special or the Mill Creek View stable of podcasts, visit us anywhere you get your podcast or videos at Mill Creek View. While you're there, please subscribe so you don't miss a single episode of the amazing content and pass it on. And thanks for doing it. Harvey Durham, an avid sportsman and a longtime self-employed small business owner and insurance agent. He's licensed in 40 states and has been the number one agent nationally for 6 different health insurance companies. He knows the market and only handles the best possible plans and companies in the marketplace today. He doesn't look at the job as sales, but helping people and doing the best he can to solve your current health insurance needs. He actively supports our veterans and does some public speaking to Christian conservative groups. Harvey, how are you today?
Good to be with you, Steve.
I'm so glad that you drove in to speak with us. We really appreciate it. Harvey Durham Insurance Agency is the trusted independent insurance agency that you can depend on for all your insurance coverage needs. Tell us what drew you to the insurance business way back when.
I started, I think it was in 97, late 90s. I was working construction, vice president, general manager of a construction company in North Carolina, making great money. And it's kind of interesting the way it come about. And so I had 2 children at home and a wife that didn't have a father and a husband. And so although I was making really great money, it was enough. I needed to be with my children and my family. And so I came home, left in good terms and everything, with some really wonderful people. And my son on one Sunday morning cut a ad out of the paper, and it's for health insurance. And I said, Jeremy, I can't do that. Daddy, you can do anything you want to. I said, honey, I can do this. And so I really had no intention of pursuing it. But I did send something in. The guy called me, actually, here in Nashville. And so I went in to talk to him, but I was just doing it as a courtesy. And he just twisted my arm off and beat me with it. Now, he made it sound pretty exciting. And it has been. It's been up and down, but helped a lot of people. And it's about helping people and doing what's right for people.
I think that's true. Harvey Durham Insurance measures success by building client relationships one step at a time. Insurance can be confusing and difficult to understand. So your approach is first to assess and educate before guiding clients to the appropriate insurance products available. Your commitment to each and every client is provided quality insurance coverage at the most and lowest insurance premium possible. How do you do it?
I like to think of it as the best value. I try to put myself in the client's shoes. I've got a lot of different policies, and thank you for being a policyholder.
Full disclosure, I am a client of healthinsuranceharvey.com.
Client, and I certainly appreciate that and your confidence in me. There is no such thing as a perfect policy. Let there be no doubt about that. I'm very upfront about that. What's best for you may not be best for the guy next door or the lady next door. And it has to be individually considered to do. You've got pre-existing conditions in many cases to contend with. And it has to do with balancing budget with coverage, because if I get you out of your budget, it's worthless to me and you both.
Yeah. So Harvey, tell us how the Affordable Care Act, or what we call Obamacare, came in and changed the market and your business.
It devastated the market. It was a very ill-conceived plan. It was drew up very politically, and just so that you'll know, I'm not political in this. During the time, Lamar Alexander, who actually a friend of mine, an associate, I'd say, and Coker, they were our senators, and so I emailed them and I actually left a call with their receptionist and to show you how non-biased I really am. And I say this: I've owned an insurance agency, owned 2 medical equipment companies, owned a pharmacy, and a home health care company. And I only say, and I've been the top agent in the country for several health insurance companies. And I'll say this humbly, not boasting, but to say that I have something to offer. If you would just listen, I would like to give you my opinion on the direction that this is going. And so didn't get a call back from either one of them. So that's politics, and I just don't like politics. And I'm basically Christian conservative because I'm basically Republican. And they were my Republican counterparts that I knew, and not only that did they know I know them, they knew me. And so, politics is very frustrating, but it's a very good question. It's called ACA, Affordable Health Care Insurance. It's non-affordable health care insurance. It's when you can just not have insurance and then go and then, oh, I have an accident or sickness, I need health insurance. That's not right. We're paying that. That is just not right. It's kind of like, if wherever State Farm, Farm Bureau, wherever you have your car insurance, well, I'm going to save that money on that car insurance, and I'm just not going to get insurance till I need it. So you have a wreck. So you go into the local agent that you would do your car insurance with and say, hey, look, I need insurance on my car. And by the way, I had a wreck last week and I need you to cover that. It should not work that way. And car insurance does not work that. Health insurance does not work that way too. And the truth is, some people, Steve, they need help. They really need help and guidance, and I'm there to help them. It's helped a lot of people, but it is so abused. Because I know of people that I've got leads on, just like I did you, that they've got a home in New York or Minnesota or North Dakota, but they've got another condo in Florida. They're snowbirds. They can, obviously multimillionaires, but we're helping pay their premium because they have a reduced rate now because they have retired, and it only goes on their residual income, not their wealth. That's just wrong. Some people legitimately need it. They really do. And I am qualified to write ACA at this time, and there's a place for it, and there's a tremendous need for it. It was just written very wrongly by politicians when they should have gotten some insurance agents, some doctors in there and say, this is what we need and this is the parameters. But they didn't care. It was about getting votes.
Right.
But I'm blasting both sides, so I'm neutral on this.
Understood. Lamar Alexander, not a Democrat. And for 40 years, it was an issue. They finally decided to step up and make it into something, and they obviously did it awfully. And the unintended consequences have been more expense, not affordable, as you said. Tell us how your independent agency does it different than, say, a name brand company that somebody would hear on the radio.
Well, most name ranking companies, I'm licensed with many companies. They got a right for that one employer, that one insurance company. Okay. I can look at you and your neighbor, your brother, your sister differently because the plan that you're on may not be best for your brother or your neighbor. Okay. And I can look at that, and I will definitely do it to the best of my ability to get you what you really need and deserve. And it's about value too. It's just, it really is. Everything should be individually considered, and that doesn't point you directly to one insurance company. Again, I'm going to say this again. There's no such thing as a perfect policy. And if there were, you might could afford it, but I couldn't. And most of the clients that I deal with are small, self-employed business people, and they couldn't afford it either. But I don't believe they've got the ceiling up to $100,000 now, where you get shared health insurance. That's wrong. It shouldn't be that way. And it's all about buying votes, and I'm blasting both sides.
Yeah.
I'm a non-responsive. I just call it the way these eyes see it, and that's all I can do. And if it lands on your toes, it just lands on your toes.
And when you made those phone calls to the 2, at the time, Republican senators from Tennessee, you weren't just making it as an average citizen like I could. You actually had an opportunity to be the insurance commissioner for the state at one time, but decided you didn't want to do it because it's too political.
Right.
Yeah, more interested in your clients and their well-being than getting into the game and playing it that way.
Exactly.
Did it teach you anything in general and help you change as things went forward, or just a lesson learned easily and moved on?
It was a painful lesson learned, and I just moved on and hadn't forgot about it. You can't forget about it. I truly had a desire to help. I wanted to help. I would have gotten paid nothing. I didn't want nothing. I just wanted a chance to say, listen to me. If there is such a thing as an expert in this field, I am. I've been the top agent in the country for 6 different companies. Mm-hmm. Every company that I have legitimately written for, at one time or another, I was the top agent in the country. And I say that very humbly. And I think my honesty and my work ethic, is what created that opportunity. And have all my clients been happy? No. It's just most of them have, and most of them stay with me.
Yeah. So the ACA obviously was put in place to make sure that government supposedly would take care of everybody in the time of a emergency. That's what the government is usually there for, like Social Security. Mm-hmm. We had one last couple of years. We had the time of COVID, the era of COVID. How did the time of COVID make things hard on you? Did insurance companies keep their promises and cover sick people actually when most needed?
That's very interesting, and wouldn't have thought to bring that up. But during COVID, insurance companies actually made a fortune because nobody was going to the doctor or if they go to the hospital, it was an absolute emergency. And so profits during 2020 were the highest probably ever for almost all the health insurance companies. All right, moving away from the pandemic, people made up for it the next year. I mean, the health insurance carriers got slammed in 2021 and had to raise rates. So that's interesting, I think.
Yeah, it's like a gym membership that you subscribe to, but you don't actually take advantage of. The gym loves that. You don't have to pay for any of your services.
Exactly.
But when you actually come back later and say, well, I put on an extra weight, I need to work harder now, then they get oversupplied. So yeah, it's not a good deal. But the answer I think I hear you saying is that the ACA put in place for emergency didn't deliver during the emergency.
No, not at all.
All right. And so now what are we left with in the aftermath? What's the insurance market?
You've got private insurance. There's a few guaranteed issue plans. That's pretty much a last result. Some people need to be on ACA, and I'll put them on ACA if they need to and deserve to be. Okay, if they have catastrophic conditions and don't qualify for private insurance. But the problem with ACA, so few doctors take it because it takes so long. The government's involved. Okay, it takes so long to get paid, and they cut them to the bare bone. And most doctors say there's not a profit for them, and they got to make a profit with ACA, and it's just a hassle.
Mm-hmm. The consolidation of private practices into hospitals wasn't a good idea business-wise either, was it, for most of these doctors?
No, it was a joke.
It was a joke. So what you have been paying for most of people's working lives and what they actually go in for to get that help really didn't deliver the needed care that they wanted, which is
not at all
premiums
correct.
Higher and higher. Health indemnity benefit plans. A lot of people don't really understand the ins and outs of insurance. So I just want to talk about a couple of these off your website. Customized insurance plans and protection where it matters most at an affordable price. In addition, looks like HSP Gold offers policyholders a growing number of tools, resources, and value-added benefits that are sure to help you navigate through the costly and complex healthcare marketplace. What we've just been speaking about doesn't do that. How do you do health indemnity benefit plans?
Well, when I'm talking to a client to start with, when the connection's made where I reach out or where they reach out to me, I want to know what their health issues are. Then I want to know what they're on, and I want to know what they're paying. And I pretty much won't write anybody until do, because unless you make Harvey Durham comfortable that I'm putting you in a better place, I'm going to tell you stay where you are. And if you don't want to tell me those things, I'm going to thank you for your time. And if you get serious about help, call me. I'll help you.
Interesting. Critical illness benefit plans. Critical illness insurance is designed to ease the financial pressure by providing a lump sum cash benefit paid directly to you upon diagnosis of a covered illness to help you cope with the high cost of recovering from a critical illness crisis. The plan will provide up to $50,000 to help cover out-of-pocket medical expenses and the other costs associated with a covered critical illness. That's not a PPO. That's not an HMO. That's not Obamacare. How do you define critical illness benefit plans? Or I should say, what kind of client are you giving that to?
Critical illness crisis recovery. I like it for everybody. There is just so many cancer patients and heart issues. What it does, as you said, it pays directly to you on what we call first occurrence. Some of them will pay so much a month, so much a visit, and there's critical illness policies up to $100,000. The one I like to deal with goes up to 50. I kind of recommend 30, but here's the thing: if you come down with malignant cancer, there's new treatments coming in every day that there's no codes, and your insurance is not going to pay it. So that $30,000, that $50,000 can be your salvation as far as financial freedom. Okay, there's other things such as specified disease plan, but what that does, it pays on first diagnosis when you really need it the most. Okay, with almost all plans you have deductibles, not all plans, and I represent some that don't, and the one you're currently on, the only way you have a deductible is overnight stay in the hospital or ICU. You go to the doctor, there's no copay, no deductible, but there is definitely a place for critical illness. I had an occasion, I wrote a guy in Pennsylvania, I don't remember his name, can't call his name. His brother had died of cancer. And I asked about their family. I asked you about your family, your parents, your siblings. And I wouldn't write the policy without critical illness. And I put $50,000 on it. And he was just, I said, honest, I got to be true with myself and what I feel like you need. This is what I feel like you need. I'd be glad to help you with that. If you don't want it, respectfully, somebody else will just write you that policy. 67 days later, he come down with pancreatic cancer. His wife called me, and she was crying, and she said, Harvey, if you hadn't stood fast and made him put that policy on there, we would have been bankrupt. Because, cancer with all this new stuff, there's no codes and there's no insurance company going to pay it. But that's going to pay directly to you up front. And I really like that. And on some people, I absolutely insist on it. And I'll stand firm on it too.
And you learned that lesson the hard way, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody in your early days didn't go that route.
That's exactly right. It's interesting that you brought that up. When I first got in the insurance business, I didn't believe in it. I just thought it was and it is more commission. Standard health insurance, it's you don't get rich on it, but you do. It pays more commission. And I thought it was the insurance company's way to get money in the agent's pocket. And I'm just honest about it. And I was asked multiple times about it, and 2 times specifically. And I just said, I honestly don't think it's a good value. I've got it right here. But let me tell you something. One of those ladies, I watched her on her deathbed. Debbie was her name, such a beautiful lady. And I sat there and cried because he would have took anything that I recommended, and he specifically asked me about that. And I told him I didn't see that it was a good value. So I had 2 occasions like that come home to me with people I know close to me. And so it just makes me firmer and experienced. And I know I don't look it, but I'm 70 years old. So
70 years young.
Yeah, there you go.
That's great. All right. Well, you live and you learn, and you apply that to your life. And in sales, which insurance does have a component of sales,
yes,
it's obviously much more genuine if you believe in it. And so you had to learn, unfortunately, the hard way that it is something to believe in. But now you can say with 100% authenticity, that's something that everybody should pay attention to.
Yeah.
And what are the statistics? 50% now are going to have cancer in their lifetime?
It's close to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing these days, and I really wouldn't be without one. But if I do sign somebody and they don't have, I said, I'll give them this speech, and it's a speech, where it be canned or what. I said, if you sat in my shoes, if you sat in my chair, you walk in my shoes for a half a day, you're going to see why I'm so passionate about a rider or a policy like that, in addition to your regular health insurance.
There you go.
Yeah. You mentioned indemnity policy. What an indemnity policy does, it pays specifically on the codes or the items per day, per year, per month, or whatever. And if you have a plan right now, check your benefits. Insurance is about benefits. And there's lots of bad stuff out there. There's lots of bad actors that they have been so brainwashed, the agents have, that they think they're doing you an awesome job. Check your benefits. It's about your benefits. How many doctor visits you get, how much does it pay for the doctor, what your deductible is, what it pays a surgeon, daily hospital room benefit, emergency room, urgent care, chemotherapy and radiation. You deserve to know those things, and now is the time to find it out before you need it. If you need it, it's too late.
Yeah, and a lot of group insurance doesn't really offer you that opportunity to look under the covers like that.
But they can reach out. Good point. They can reach out to a private agent like myself, and I'll help you with that. And again, I'm going to say help you with that, and I'll advise you to the best of my ability. I've been in this business for a long time, according to the information that you give me. Always give that agent, whoever it is, be 100% honest and transparent, because if you don't, that policy can be rescinded. And I've had a couple of policies rescinded, and really, in my writing thousands of policies, is pretty incredible for only having. I only know of 2 policies in my life that's been, but I think it's because I'm that thorough, and I encourage honesty. Because, I tell people, I'm a young person, I guess. I tell people, look, I'm too dumb to lie. I just tell the truth. I don't have to worry about remember what I said. And I go, as you know, line by line about the benefits. If I do a presentation for you, you're going to know exactly what your benefits are, because you're going to either screen share with me, or I'm going to email that to you, and I'm going to go line by line each item about the benefits. That's what that policy will pay.
Great. Long-term care insurance. Long-term care is the care you need if you are unable to perform daily activities on your own. That means things like eating, bathing, dressing, transferring, and using the bathroom. The goal of long-term care is to help you maintain your lifestyle as you age. Medicare, supplement insurance, and health insurance you may have at work usually won't pay for long-term care. I know from experience, most people don't even understand the line item on their thing, the difference between long-term disability and long-term care. Tell us your opinions on long-term care for folks.
I've had a policy for over 20 years. Even Lloyd's of London will write long-term care. Have a contract with them, Illinois Mutual. I have mine with Mutual of Omaha called Golden Care. The policy that I've got, you cannot get that policy anymore. They're not as good. And you mentioned those are called triggers: the transferring, eating, and continence and driving. Most of the companies, you have to trigger 3 of them. The policy that I currently have, you trigger only 2 of them. And most of the time, an agent will put, and it needs to be put in there, a waiver of premium. In other words, if you go on claim, your premium stops. So it will pay, like mine will pay my neighbor or my spouse, my child, or whoever to come in and take care of me if I so qualify. Then it will actually pay a nurse to come in, or it will pay an assisted living facility or a nursing home. So it pays at home, assisted living, or nursing. Know those things about your long-term care policy if you have one, or if you're considering one. You don't get too young for a long-term care policy, because the younger you take it out, the lower the premium is. And like I said, I've actually had mine for about 25 years now. But if I would take that policy out now, my guess it would be 10 times the cost. And you can get it, and you can get immediate coverage on that. Now, the disability, it actually pays you, depending on how the policy is written, as you know, up to 60% of your average income for the last whatever that criteria is, probably 24 months. It will pay you up to 60% of that, and you buy units of coverage to cover you up to that. Or if you don't need 60% of the income, 50%, you can base it on those factors.
Okay. Accidental disability coverage. When a coverage accident occurs, the last thing you want on your mind is not to worry the changes accumulating while you are in the emergency room. An accident can leave your family with a great financial burden. Protect yourself and your family with 24-hour accident insurance with coverage that applies to traveling, commuting, workplace accidents, being at home, and during many other situations. Do you find that market popular, accident disability coverage? Or
Very popular. Very. I put it on 98% of my policies because that can pay directly to you in addition to any other policy. Or if you've got that and you're in a car accident, your car insurance, your automobile insurance is primary. Okay, then the health insurance that I carry, it would pick up, and this accident rider would pay in addition to that.
Okay. Dental insurance, we can all figure that one out. A unique hybrid dental plan that combines traditional dental coverage with PPO discounts, a new breed of dental plans that covers the services you want at a price you can afford, freedom of choice. Unlike many PPO plans that will not pay anything if you go outside their network, this plan will pay the non-network provider at the same rate as if they were in-network. You will only be responsible for any charges above the PPO fees paid. My question on that is, after COVID, did we see a lot of trusted and loved doctors leave that PPO? So the reason most people were in it in the first place is now gone. And so this gives them the opportunity to follow that doctor somewhere else?
Wow, you read my mind. Yeah. Wow. I'm not a fan of dental insurance, dental and vision. And let me tell you why. Let me explain why. It's like if you have car insurance and you want it to rotate the tires, change the oil, it's going to cost a lot more. Okay. Or if you get dental and vision, that insurance company knows that you're going to use it. Okay. And so they're not in business to lose money. And so I did have a group plan on my small company, and I dropped it and went to something else. As a rule, 90% of the time, dental and vision is not a good deal unless you're with a big corporation and you've got thousands on it. Then it absolutely can be, but that's a different scenario. And you would need to do it with your employer if they have a quality plan. Look at the benefits. It's only going to pay so much. Almost all plans will give you 2 checkups a year to start with, and they won't pay anything else. Then you're going to have, after year 1, it's going to pay so much. Then after year 2, it'll pay so much. Then year 3, it'll pay so much and more to that maximum. But it only pays so much per calendar year, regardless of what your dental insurance is. And there's something else that's came down the pipe that I actually like better. And that money that you pay to that insurance company is gone. You can't get it back. If you didn't use it, it's just gone. Okay. Probably it's not going to give you as much cash value as what you paid into it, or they'd be losing money. This is not rocket science. Okay.
Right.
There's and you may be going to get to that, but there's most people have either heard of or have had an HSA, health savings account. There is something on the market now that's approved by the IRS. It's the same tax laws, 105 and 215L, 215L or 215R. I think it's L. But it actually matches your money. You never lose it. If you go, like you have one, if something happens to your wife, that money goes to your if something happens to you, that money actually goes to your wife. Or if something happens to both of you, you don't lose that. That goes to your children. You do not ever lose that, and it's matching funds. Now, what you do, you pick out a certain level each month on that, and you pay it in. And let's just say after 12 months, you've paid in $2,500. That's about what you got in there. But if you let that stay to like 35 months, you're going to have 2 to 2.5 times the money that you put in. On these, they have a limit. The key is never let them hit that limit, and they will continue to match, because if they hit that limit by law, that's all they can do. And there's a little fee in there, about 10%, and that's the only thing. They won't draft you. It'll only be that maintenance fee, but you can only reach that amount of money. So the key is use yours before it gets there. Mm-hmm. You can use it for dental, vision, prescriptions, any elective procedure, any out-of-pockets, any co-pays that you have. You can use that but it's not insurance. But that money is in your account, and that's your money, and you don't lose it.
More like a savings account. Okay. Now, what makes you unique is healthcare for startups. At Harvey Durham, you can help any small business owner find the best option of healthcare for startups. You offer different policies and group health insurance coverage to make sure employees, company, and families are protected. Although this might seem overwhelming at first, Harvey Durham's healthcare for startup policies offer a range of plans and group insurance plans for your company. We will walk you through each benefit and drawback for your company and display how having healthcare for startups would be a valuable investment. Please call Harvey today to get your small business protected. Obviously, post-COVID, like we talked about, post the destruction of group plans with the ACA, this would be something that maybe a lot of new companies that decided not to work for the big company who are starting up, don't want to roll up their sleeves and deal with. This is not why they're in business. They're not making the new tech gadget or the new gig economy business for their healthcare provisions, but you're there to help.
Yes, and I really encourage people to ask my opinion, and I'm very opinionated, but I've got a lot of knowledge. I help people like yourself every day, as you know. I think the worst thing you can do, well, I've had a good year, I'm just going to pay for my employees' benefits. Terrible mistake. What if next year's bad? Then you've got disgruntled employees. There's ways to limit your exposure. Never, ever, under any circumstances, pay all of everything. Okay? If there's a rate increase and things aren't as good this year as they were last year, you may not can accept that, and then you've got disgruntled employees. But there's ways to do that that will ensure that long-term stability. And in a small business as yours, I strongly advise individual plans. The larger, more well-established business, we can certainly do a group plan. It's much easier to do a group plan, but on small businesses, I just like doing individual plans depending on the health of that group.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, so we're almost out of time here, but I want to get to a couple more things. Information from realestateexpress.com states that the majority of NAR, National Association of Realtors members, 46%, pay out of pocket for their health insurance, according to the organization's 2017, a little bit outdated, but best I could find, member profile. A partner, spouse, or family member provides coverage for 32% of NAR members, meaning they're on their spouse's plan instead of their own, and 3% receive coverage through their firm. NAR continues to advocate for healthcare reforms for the self-employed and small employer. Realtor insurance experience is what we're talking about here. Some real estate agents may offer your health insurance, but it is expensive and not what you need in your health plan. At your firm, you personally propose a unique policy that will fulfill your health insurance needs as a realtor while being affordable and in your budget. Realtor health insurance is a difficult topic, but Harvey Durham Insurance, you need to make sure to help you understand your health insurance policy. Accident or health problems can happen at any time. Medical expenses can be high. They're the number one cause of bankruptcy. To gain access to a network of doctors and hospitals that have negotiated lower rates with insurance companies, to pay and keep track of medical payments quickly and easily, and lastly, to safeguard your way of life and your family's physical and financial well-being. Are you seeing traction with self-employed realtors?
Realtors, I've got a lot of them as clients. The problem with associations for quality insurance, they start off fairly cheap, or there's no health insurance that's cheap anymore. Let's just get that straight, okay? But people gravitate to them that have health issues, and that spikes your rate. It normally don't last very long at all.
Okay. And then lastly, health insurance for freelancers. A lot of people consider themselves freelancers when they're really just working part-time for someone else. Real freelancers are independent contractors who work on a project-by-project basis, so they aren't actually employed by anyone. But health insurance for freelancers is still vital to their health and well-being, of course, regardless of how much or how little they get paid per project. At your shop, you recognize the importance of health coverage for freelancers and help individuals secure the protection they need every day. Give us a little bit on how you work with freelancers.
That's 90% of my clients. It's and the beauty of a plan that I would put somebody on, they can take it with them, and you can use any doctor, any hospital. If they move from Tennessee to Florida, Florida to Pennsylvania, it goes with them. They don't have to requalify like the HMO and some of the PPO plans, because everything I on an individual basis specifically says what it'll pay, and it pays the same in network and out. Again, that's at least 80% of my clients. And lots of them turn into small business owners like yourself, and they want me to do the same thing for their new employees as you have.
Mm-hmm.
that I did for you. And they got to listen to my speech just like you did too. I'm going to protect them as the employer first. When I get that person as a client, I'm going to work just as hard for them as I do for you. But I'm going to try to make you to understand, or to help you to understand, the liabilities and whatever it is that you try to help your employees with. And so that's it's a good thing just to want to help, but it's a bad thing. It can be a door closing event to try to do too much, and you can't keep it up. So you got to look at the long term, set aside maybe even bonuses. I'm going to pay as you did per my advice. You're paying this much, so they can add whatever they want to it. Okay, if they want to go from a really nice Chevrolet, they can go to a Cadillac, and that's at their cost. But they're sharing in any rate increases, anything that's coming up down the line, they're having to share in it, so you both feel the pain. It's got to be that way.
Good advice. Well, thank you for coming on the CEO special with me, Harvey. Tell everyone where they can go to find out more about you and get maybe a consultation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm known nationwide as Health Insurance Harvey. I have a website, Harvey Durham Insurance. I have actually a couple of websites. If you put harveydurham.com, you'll find my website, harveydurhaminsurance.com. It's been a pleasure to be with you, and it's been a pleasure to serve you and so many other people throughout my long career. And if my cell number is 731-727-9242, 731-727-9242. Call me or text me, and I'll get you on my calendar, and I'll help you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Joshua Medcalf is an entrepreneur who founded Train to Be Clutch, a business and life consultancy through which he works with top performers all over the world from many different professions. Medcalf has created some of the first mental training apps in the world for soccer, basketball, and golf, and started a nonprofit that trains athletes in one of the toughest housing projects near his home in Los Angeles. He's also the director of mental training for UCLA's women basketball, and when time permits, he travels around the country doing workshops for a variety of businesses, sports, and school groups. In Chop Wood, Carry Water, How to Fall in Love with the Process of Becoming Great, guided by Akira Sensei, John comes to realize the greatest adversity on his journey will be the challenge of defeating the man in the mirror. This powerful story of one boy's journey to achieve his lifelong goal of becoming a samurai warrior brings the Train to Be Clutch curriculum to life in a powerful and memorable way. Great little book, easy to read, with a powerful story that tells how to lay down habits that will lead to becoming great. As it says, the greatest challenge is defeating the man or woman in the mirror. That's it for this episode. Really hoped you like it. If you like what you heard here, be sure to check out our other shows, the Mill Creek View, Tennessee, Washington, and Florida podcast, and subscribe to mcview.us website. And thank you for doing it. Until next time, this is your host, Steve Abramowitz, CEO of the Mill Creek View, signing off.